Hi there, I'm Rebecca and a really warm welcome back to my channel PumpkinBecki. In this week's video we're going to be giving Bertie a little upgrade in his cage. In fact, we're going to be going from his standard cage into a much bigger one made from this storage box. Let's get started. When we got our first dwarf hamster, Minky, we were told that you shouldn't use a cage which has standard size bars on it, because when they're little they can collapse their little bones and they can get themselves out and then you've lost them. So we were advised to go for something like this, where it has solid bottom and top and it has an opening panel in the lid portion here. It's fine, it's done very well for us, but it does actually fall quite a long way below the minimum RSPCA standards for dwarf hamsters, and sometimes these are marketed for Syrian hamsters and this is way undersized for a Syrian. For a dwarf it is small, but it's what was available at the time. Now, as I've been YouTubing for a while and watching other people's videos, I realised that you could actually make a really good cage for a dwarf hamster that was safe and escape proof from a plastic storage box. And you can see from this how much more space Bertie will be getting once we've converted this storage box into a proper cage for him. And this actually, again, is slightly under the minimum size for a dwarf hamster, but it's way closer than this one is. If you can go bigger, go bigger. So the first thing we're going to do to this storage box is add some ventilation, and we're going to do that by cutting some holes in the lid here. And then we're going to put some wire mesh in the top. I guess if you live in a really safe house with no possibility of anything ever happening to your hamster, maybe you could use it without a lid, but I don't think that's a good idea. In the summer I've had a neighbour's cat wander in. Just think about being sensible as well as practical. Yes, it takes a little bit longer to do this stage, but you will have a much safer home for your animal. So this particular box that we've bought, which is by a company called Strata, is really handy because it has flat panels here. Lots of them have wiggles in the lids to give them a bit more rigidity, but this one is going to be really handy for us because it means we can lay the wire flat and not have gaps caused by the wibbliness. So here's the wire mesh that I'm going to be using. It is approximately 5mm squares, 5 by 5, and they are in a galvanised wire mesh. You can get this pretty easily at DIY stores. I've cut this down with some little wire snips into sizes that will nicely fit into the flat panels. So this one has 2 flat panels which can be lifted up at either end. So I've got 2 pieces of wire mesh, 1 for each side. An extra step that we've taken is to actually scan and print the panels of wire mesh 1-to-1 so that we can use this as a drilling guide, because we need to be able to put plastic zip ties in through the lid of the box round the wire mesh to hold it all nice and secure. So we can actually tape this onto our box and use it as our drilling guide. I've stuck my templates onto my plastic lid, and you can see that I've marked out a line all the way around the inside that is 2 squares in from each side. That's the size of the hole that we're going to be cutting in the lid. First thing we're going to do is drill the corners, and then we can use a knife to cut between them to get our aperture. You'll also see that I have got some dots marked, and those dots indicate where we're going to be drilling, and they're going to make the holes that the tie wraps go through to secure the mesh on. Time to get drilling. So I've got a piece of sacrificial wood underneath here, and I've laid my lid with the template on top, and I can just drill straight through where I've marked the holes. So for these holes I used a drill that was only just fractionally bigger than the size of zip tie I'm going to be using to hold the wire in place. Now I'm going to drill the holes that will help me cut out the big hole in the centre of the plastic. So I'm going to use a slightly bigger drill bit to allow me to get a blade in next to it. I'm going to use the grid pattern here to help me line out the outer edges of the drill. So we have our small holes and now our larger corner one. I've now flipped the lid upside down so that we're working from the back. That keeps the paper in place to use as a guide. I've got a metal edged ruler. It is a wooden ruler but it has a steel cutting edge on it, and a nice sharp craft knife. I'm still using the block underneath, and I'm going to go along taking the outside point of each of the big holes that I cut, and I will join them up, and I'll do it in several small strokes. Right, there we have it. 2 holes, and all our edging holes are done. I am not going to lie to you, that was incredibly hard work. It took both of us taking it in turns to try and cut through this. Maybe there's easier ways, maybe using a jigsaw or a hot blade or something. It's definitely not something children should be doing on their own. It's incredibly tough to get through the plastic, and the knife can skip, so just be super careful and take it slowly, not try and let the knife do the work. Now we've done that, we have also just sort of cleaned up the edges a little bit. There are some little bits of swarf on here, but we've just run around with the knife to try and clean that up. It's also going to get a bit of a washing, and just to make sure there's no bits of plastic dust still on here, and then we can start putting the tie wraps through the holes and applying the wire. I'm on the inside of the box again, and I can lay my mesh on what is now going to be the inside of the cage. And just to demonstrate, I'm using a red cable tie, and this one just fits through the holes. I'm keeping it all as snug as possible. I feed it through, and then I come back up through the hole. And if you can just see that that has trapped the wire. Now I'm going to pull the tail through and feed it through the loop of the tie wrap. And start to pull it tight. And you can manoeuvre the loop right down until the wire is held really tightly against the plastic. I can't even get my nail underneath. And there it is from the other side. It's just really neat. Nothing to catch on. And holding it really nice and close. And then once we've done that, we can just go ahead and cut the tail off. That was just a quick demonstration, and I'm now going to be doing it in white cable ties. Right, that's the lid completed. So now I'm just going to pop some substrate in so that we can see how deep Bertie needs it, and then we need to work out where we're going to put his water bottle. So I like to use the Pet Life Safe Bed paper shavings. It does make a lovely substrate to burrow in, and Bertie is our first dwarf hamster who's actually really enjoyed burrowing. So substrate's in, and I've started just sort of putting a few of Bertie's toys in, and then to work out where to put the bottle, we've taken the tip off one, checked that it's not going to interfere with the lip on the lid, and that with substrate up against it, it's not going to just drip water into the substrate because it's coming into contact. So we need to drill a nice hole where we've marked just there. I'm going to start by drilling a pilot hole. I'm just going to support the plastic to the side of it. And carefully remove any plastic swarf that goes in. And now I've put a 1/2 inch spade bit into a cordless drill, which I can pop into the pilot hole I drilled, and very gently, without pushing, let the drill go through. That's pushed quite a lot of swarf through. It's kind of melted the plastic as it's gone through, so now I'm going to use a little blade and just take that off. And there we go. That's going to be absolutely perfect. The two holes I've drilled here, I'm now going to pass a tie wrap through the top hole, and using this simple hair elastic, trap that in the middle and pass the end back through. To secure the tie wrap, but not too tight. Snip off the end. And that will be our ingenious bottle holder. Give you a quick look round. So we've got a little dust bath for Bertie, which he does like to use. Sometimes he just uses it as a toilet, but he does like to go and take his peanuts in there and unpeel them. He feels quite safe in there. There's a little willow teepee that he likes to use. His wheel. I've put some food in for him. I've got one of his bendy bridges I have made into a little archway this way, so he can come burrowing into this lovely deep bit of substrate, and it will sort of help to hold it back a little bit. And then I've got a chew toy for him as well. I'm not going to put him in right now, he's sound asleep, I don't want to upset him, so I'll leave him be for the minute and come back a bit later this evening. Oh, deep ouching. Good boy. Is that your chicken? So there we go, Bertie's new cage. I think he's really going to enjoy having that extra space. He's also going to love having that really deep bit of substrate that he can dig in. He really, really loves to burrow. Right, well that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to rate, share and subscribe to me here on YouTube. And until next time, bye!